enjoying our new Fighting for a Cause domain. I hope that you enjoyed learning about Eleanor Roosevelt and learned some facts about all the causes that she fought for. Today, you're learning about Mary Mcleod Bethune, which was one of Eleanor's friends, and actually almost best friends, believe it or not. So today, you're going to listen for the facts that she did change lives. She changed African American girls' lives. She also changed other people's lives. So that's what you're listening for. You're listening for all the people that she helped. And not only the people that she helped, you're going to be listening for how she actually helped them. So let's get started today with some vocabulary to listen for. The first word is federal. My turn, federal, your turn. That's relating to a strong central government with far-reaching powers. So a sentence for this could be, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a federal holiday that is observed on the third Monday in January. So our whole nation observes this day. The next word to listen for, and we've heard a lot about this lately. This is my term, healthcare, your turn. Good. So this is simply medical care provided to people. And I'm sure that if the news is on at your house at any time during the day, you will hear this term, healthcare. Right now that might be a doctor or a nurse, a physician, anyone helping someone who is sick. They would be a part of healthcare. Another word to listen for is privilege. My term, privilege, your turn. An honor or an advantage that one person might have that sets him or her apart in some way. I've had the privilege of meeting 12 American presidents, said the Queen of England. The next term to listen for is your word of the day. My turn, proud, your turn. Feeling great honor or a sense of satisfaction. The first place tennis team was proud of their accomplishments this year. And I have been so proud of you all for your online learning as well. The next word is, my turn, society, your turn. Society. A community of people who live together and share many of the same life experiences. A sentence with that would be, the invention of the steam train changed the way Midwestern society functioned. The next word, my turn, scholarship, your turn. Scholarship. Money or an opportunity given to a student to study for little or no cost. So you may hear of that word a lot right now with our seniors graduating and going to college. They are hoping to get a scholarship. Michael studied very hard in high school and earned a full scholarship that paid for his college education. That's a huge deal. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our text today. Just remember, it is about Mary Mcleod Bethune, and she is going to be a big helper and fight for African American girls. And you're also going to learn who else she fights for, but not only who she fights for today, but how she does it. So listen carefully so you can have a conversation after this with your family, and then you'll be writing about it tomorrow. She is a dedicated teacher. Mary Jane Mcleod was born a long, long time ago in the year 1875 in South Carolina on her parents' small farm. Mary's parents had 17 children. 17 children. And Mary was the 15th child. And so this is right after the Civil War time frame, so things were beginning to change in the South. Mary was the only member of her family to go to school, the only out of 17 in her parents, and receive an education. Her brothers and her sisters were needed to work on the family farm. However, it wasn't an easy thing for Mary to go to school. She walked about 5 miles to school each day and then walked home again. So that would be 10 miles total, as you would probably have already figured that out. But that would be walking like 15 laps around the school track in the morning and about 15 more laps in the afternoon when she went home. That was several miles to make it to school. We are so blessed to get to drive to school in the mornings and the afternoon on a normal schedule. And so this is Mary Mcleod Bethune. This is a portrait of her. Now, Mary didn't mind school was such a, my turn, privilege, your turn, that few African American children had, especially girls. Mary was an excellent student. She learned easily and she learned quickly. Mary would race home each day to teach her brothers and her sisters the things she had learned about. Mary also taught her neighbors' children. Mary's family was so proud of her. Remember, that's a sense of honor and satisfaction. And so a simple illustration of Mary working with her siblings and the neighbors after school. When Mary was 13 years of age, she received a scholarship. So she received money to study at a school for African American girls. The school was called Scotia Seminary, and it was in the state of North Carolina. Mary's mother was so proud of her. She made her a special dress so that Mary would look nice when she went to her new school. Mary was really sad to leave her family. They were sad to see her go. But everyone knew that Mary was going to do wonderful things with her life. And so, after attending Scotia Seminary, Mary received another scholarship, this time to a school up in Chicago. After graduating, Mary returned to South Carolina to become a teacher at the school that she had once attended, which I have a connection with Mary because I got to do the same thing. What a huge blessing. So here's an illustration of Miss Mary teaching math to her students. Mary was determined to educate young African American children. No one was going to stop her. After several years of being a teacher, Mary decided to start her own school. She especially wanted to teach African American girls, as many still did not receive an education. Mary had heard about a town in Florida that probably you have heard of, Daytona Beach. A new railroad was being built there, and many of the workers were African American men. The workers' families lived in camps. Their children did not go to school, and the men earned just about enough money, that's it, just to feed their families. Mary saw this as a great opportunity, and she came up with a plan. This is an actual photograph of Mary and her soon-to-be students. With just $1.50 in her pocket, Mary moved to Daytona Beach, Florida, and opened up her own school for African American girls. A kind woman offered Mary a place to live. A friend helped her find an empty house that later became the new school. Old broken furniture was fixed. Boxes and packing crates from local stores became desks and chairs. And in the autumn or fall of 1904, Mary opened her own school. Now, in the beginning, there were only 6 children. So obviously, this picture or photograph was taken a lot later. But in the beginning, only 6 children, one including her own son. Gradually, more and more students came. Each girl paid 50 cents a week for tuition. That means that they could go to school. Mary taught them cooking and sewing, as well as reading, writing, and math. There was never enough money, though, so Mary would bake pies and cookies to sell. This is an illustration of what happened one night at Mary's school. Not everyone liked what Mary was doing. One night, while Mary was still at school, all the street lights below the window went out. When Mary looked out onto the street, she saw a group of people gathered together. They intended to scare Mary in the hope that she would close her school and leave town. Mary would not be bullied. As the group of people stood in a pool of light, so this is just a small area filled with light, Mary and the frightened girls watched and sang songs. They sang old traditional hymns. Before long, the people just scattered, so they left. So Mary and her students won that night. Now, 3 years later, she's moving on. 3 years later, Mary moved her school to a new location. It was a 32-acre farm with 14 buildings. What a huge difference. The 400 students at the school grew their own food. Mary was very proud of what she had achieved. Later, Mary's school joined with a school for African American boys and eventually became the Bethune University. Mary's school started with 5 young African American girls and her son. It eventually became a 4-year university with over 1,000 students that still exist today. Mary became the president of the school. So again, remember what you're listening for throughout this text. You're listening for who all she's helping and how. So really pay attention to this next part of our text. However, Mary wasn't quite finished. There was more work to be done. Mary opened up her own hospital. Many African Americans received treatment in Mary's hospital. In addition to promoting education and, my turn, healthcare, your turn. Good. Mary joined forces with various groups who were campaigning for the right for women to vote. So think about that. Just like Susan B. Anthony working alongside with helping women's suffrage. As you've already discovered, in the early 1900s, women could not vote. Because she believed all people had the right to an education and to have books to read. Guess what she went and did? She opened up a library that provided free reading material to anyone who wanted it. Mary was doing some amazing things. So that part of our text just shared with you several things of what she's doing, who she's helping, and how she's doing it. And here's another part of our text to add to your conversation after this. During this time, African American men did have the right to vote, but they were not always able to. In order to vote, men had to be able to read and write. Mary held classes at night so that African American men who had not had the opportunity to go to school could learn these skills and therefore be able to vote. Once again, people tried to scare her away. They did not like what she was doing. Mary just ignored them and continued her work. Mary always believed in the power of education. I have a quote for you from what Mary said, and I'm going to share it with you, and you can pause the video and talk about it. This is what she said. The whole world opened to me when I learned to read. Once again, the whole world opened to me when I learned to read. So think about that. You can pause the video and talk about it if you want. Now, Mary's efforts had not gone unnoticed because there were 3 U.S. presidents asking Mary for advice. We have President Coolidge. He invited her to attend his Child Welfare Conference. President Hoover asked her to head up the White House Conference on Child Health. And President Roosevelt, as you know, named her as a special advisor on his minority affairs. Yet also, Mary became a founder and the first president of National Council of Negro Women. And of course, you know this piece too. For many years, Mary worked closely with Eleanor Roosevelt. Mary became the director of the Division of Negro Affairs and of the National Youth Administration. She was the first African American woman to become head of a, my turn, federal, your turn, agency or organization. Mary wanted all African Americans to become fully involved in the American, my turn, society, your turn, society. And remember, society is just a community of people who live together and they share many of the same beliefs and experiences. And so Mary received many honors for her work. She received the Spingarn Medal for her efforts in educating African Americans. This medal is given each year by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also known as NAACP, to an African American. And this part you saw in our Eleanor Roosevelt text. As you've already heard, Mary is part of a group of advisors known as the Black Cabinet. Mary herself asked President Roosevelt to choose more talented African Americans for important jobs. This is a statue of Mary, and Lincoln Park. Mary Mcleod Bethune died May 18, 1955. On July 10, 1974, 99 years to the day after Mary's birth, a statue of Mary was placed in Lincoln Park in Washington, D.C. Mary was the first woman and the first African American to be honored in this way. A portrait of Mary hangs in the state capitol of South Carolina, a great honor for a woman who fought against discrimination and worked tirelessly for young African Americans. So that is the end of our text today. I will share with you an extra video on Dojo that you can watch if you have time, just to add to your knowledge about Mary. If you want to pause the video now and go ahead and have your conversation about who she helped and how she helped them, you will be writing about that tomorrow. I have seen some really good writing. Some of you are sending me pictures, and I love the fact that you're adding illustration to those pictures, or illustration to that writing. So keep up the great work. This is your word today. Once again, my turn proud, your turn proud. Thank you. In the read aloud, this is what you heard. Mary's family was so proud of her. And of course, this means it's a feeling of great honor or a sense of satisfaction. Here's a sentence. Noah was very proud of the model volcano that he had made. And so you all can have a conversation about the word proud. Here's a question you can ask each other. Have you ever been proud of something you have done? Try to use the word in a sentence and tell about that story or connection. So again, I am proud of you. I'm proud of your online learning. I am proud of just how you guys are working together as a family and we're working together as a team. And I love you guys. I miss you like crazy. Send us pictures, send us messages so that we're going to take all those and send those to Mr. Dale so he can share those on Wise. So I love and miss you. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.